What is going on, everybody? It is Sean, or the Armchair Coach, and we are coming at you again today on NBA 2K26 on Season 3 of letting the Chaos Wheel decide how we control our Boston Celtics. So, first two seasons have been quite the climb. The Chaos Wheel has given, it has also taken, and we find ourselves with a young and promising roster. We are led by Brandon Miller, young and budding Darius Acuff, and Yaxel Lendeberg. Benedict Mathurin is a valuable bench piece for us. Zach Edey locks down the middle, and Peyton Watson is maybe our weakest point, but he is still a solid contributor. So the first two seasons, we have gotten better each year. We still haven't managed to get a winning record yet. I think the team chemistry was a struggle. However, we are at a point where I think our roster is meshing really well. However, that can all change in an instant, and it just might here, as we have a chaos wheel that we must answer to. So in front of me lies our chaos wheel. I have added a little bit more to it, and we are now up to a full 20 effects, or 20 demands, you could say, that the wheel will demand of us each year. Now, we have to spin this once to start the season, and then we will spin to see how long we have to wait until the next time we spin. And whatever this lands on, we will have to achieve. We've ended up in some very difficult situations in the first two videos. If you haven't seen those, I would definitely recommend checking those out. They were a lot of fun and a lot of pain in some cases. As you will notice, we have the unction going on in those old videos, and I would certainly love to escape that this year. But it all remains to be seen once I spin this wheel for the first time. So let's go ahead and get a spin in and see what we have to do right away to start this season. And this season's gonna start with a bang. So we have to now trade away Brandon Miller. Now, truth be told, Brandon Miller did regress in the offseason. So that was disappointing from the guy that we've been building this team around from the first video. However, trading away our best player is... Yeah, sorry, I had to gather my thoughts. But yeah, trading away our best player is a nightmare. However, I think we can definitely make the best of this. I think there's a world where we can really pull some value back and maybe even make the team better in return. So let's go ahead and spin the team wheel here and see who we have to make a deal with. And we are going to land on the Clippers. So we've made I think we tried to make a deal with the Clippers last year, and it didn't work out because they were in really bad situation contract-wise. So maybe this year we have a better chance because they've had a chance to dump some of the awful money they had. But it remains to be seen. So let's take a look in the trade screen and see what there is to see. So, Clippers roster here on our screen. And I mean, Brandon Ingram is so fried in that picture. It is incredibly distracting. Looking at the roster here, it's not great. And I'm curious, if I go through the trade finder here, do the Clippers send a deal? Okay, so their deal that they're willing to send. Wow. This is pretty awful. but it might end up being the deal we have to make because Brandon Ingram, what has he been doing? Nothing. He's been doing a whole lot of regressing, and he's getting worse every season, which, yeah. So we also get Nick Claxton in this deal, but we give up Peyton Watson. Is there someone we desire more? Like Wendell Carter Wendell Carter isn't like anything crazy. I think more than anything in this deal at this point, we're looking for. Why do no teams have their own picks? They just be throwing them away willy-nilly in this dynasty, and I don't even have the trade frequency bumped up. So, yeah, I think. I mean, this deal straight up, I'm sure they would take. Because, I mean, why wouldn't you take that? That's just like a slam dunk trade for your team, I think. Especially a team like this that has no talent in a lot of areas. So, I mean, Nick Claxton's he's a great he's a great defensive guy. Not much for scoring, and Zach Edey is already kind of that. So maybe we add Wendell Carter into this trade, and what will it take for the money to match up at that point? Okay, so I have a plan. As you can see on the screen here, we are going to go ahead and let them have Peyton Watson, but the deal we're offering is those two for Brandon Ingram, Wendell Carter, and a future first from them. I think we can have Wendell Carter run the power forward for us and be a pretty decent stretch for a season. He's on the last year of his deal, so we can let that $19 million walk out the door, or maybe he's willing to sign a cheaper deal. It remains to be seen. We'll have to see once we get him in the door if they accept this deal. But we bring him in, let him run the four for a year. We see what that power forward we just drafted can do. And we also get some future draft capital. So let's see if the Clippers are interested in this. So, no interest, apparently. That's very interesting. Does a second round pick change your mind? I don't see why they wouldn't take this pick. Do they think Wendell Carter is more valuable than Nick Claxton? Perhaps. So will they just take this as the trade straight up? No. So they're more willing to give up Nick Claxton than Wendell Carter Jr., it would seem. Well, and of course now after I offer them this trade. So I guess the deal is gonna, okay. At this point now, I've got to see if maybe we can just get a pick if we're gonna have to make this deal. Will they throw us this? No. Will they throw us a later pick? No, we're just gonna have to take. Man, these trades really are a pain in the butt sometimes. But it looks like this is gonna have to be the deal that we take. They won't take anything else from us because they're stingy. I don't want to say it, stingy chuds. But we will take this deal, I guess. Painful that this season starts off with this kind of thing happening, but that's all right. That's what the chaos wheel does, and we have to make the most of it. So now Brandon Ingram becomes the quote-unquote best player on our team. We'll see if he ends up playing like that at all this year. So we've got to adjust the roster now and adjust the coach game plan, and I will get back with you. Okay, so we had to make quite a few adjustments to the roster. We moved a couple of guys' positions around, so J-Dub is now a power forward in the rotation. Let's see who else changed. Eduardo Chavez, we moved him down to center so we didn't have such a log jam in the power forward position. And I believe we also moved Yaxel Lendeberg down to power forward. So he's got the versatility to play both, but we'll let Brandon Ingram run the small forward. Benedict Matherin's going to end up playing some shooting guard now, and Darius Acuff still running the point guard. All things considered, I think it could be much worse. We'll see how this roster plays, but now we've got to spin the wheel and see how long it's going to be until the next time we have to consider a big move for our team. So we've changed up the number wheel here. I took away the super long options just because we are still ending the chaos spins at the trade deadline right now. So we have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 12, 15, 17, and 19. So I think that'll still give us some opportunities to get a little bit of breathing or a little bit of a break from the chaos, and also have some opportunities to get chaos back to back. So let's see what kind of break we're dealing with this time. Is it going to be large or small? And okay, so first time spinning the wheel, and we will have a 12-game stretch before the next time we spin. So I will count that out and be right back with you. Okay, so looking at our schedule here, this Wizards game is looking to be the 12-game mark. So, big change already taking place on our roster. Let's see how the new team plays together through this first 12-game stretch. I don't know how long to be silent for it to be comedic or funny for you guys, but also showing the amount of pain I'm in. So, Yaxel Lendeberg, our star power forward, just broke his ankle, so gotta make some adjustments here on the fly. So give me a moment to consider what to do here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's what we did. We ended up putting Colin Sexton in to play some shooting guard, moved Benedict Matherin down to small forward. Brandon Ingram is going to end up now running some power forward, and hopefully we will see Yaxel Lendeberg back in the lineup soon. Really sucks to get an injury like that right off the bat. But anyway, we will reconvene after the Wizards game. And we are here at the Wizards game. And as you can see, not a strong start to the season, unfortunately. Team not really meshing well together, which kind of sucks. I think having to trade away one of our best players, or our absolute best player to start the year, really affected us. So 12 games in, let's see what we have to do next. So let's spin. I'm already afraid now. The wheel has taken quite a lot from us. What are we getting this time? All right, we are trading for a team's worst player again. It really loves to land on the bad options. There are options that could really be good for us. And it also loves for us to make trades with the same couple teams, it seems like, as we land on the Washington Wizards. So we'll take a look at the roster and see what bum we are trading for this time. So looking at the Wizards roster here, the guy at the bottom for them is a guy named Omar Diaz. Probably a rookie that they just drafted. Wow. Okay, so we can't just make this trade. Well, I mean, I don't think they would accept this anyway. Do we have to... Can we do this for a pick, maybe? Wow. Holy yap for a guy that is just never going to see the court for you. Problem is like the overall quality of our roster, it makes it really hard for us to do this. I think the thing with like these rookie contracts is it makes it hard. So let's see if we can. I mean, is he rookie? Yeah, I think guy's a rookie. Let's do like the worst guy that's like not just a rookie that they have super high potential on. So it'll be like maybe a guy like Deron Holmes. We make a deal for here. Let's see what we can offer. Okay, so we're gonna offer Jordan Miller, a guy I think the CPU signed in the offseason, and see if we get this trade. They do offer us a counter. Okay, they want a first to do this? No. I'll throw a second to make this deal. Okay, now you guys are just being ridiculous. However, they would throw in Omar Diaz. So you know what? Hold on. Let's be like slightly irresponsible here. Your unprotected pick this year. Whoa. Okay, hold on. That's doing way too much here. Hold on. Yeah, sure. You guys can have. Well, we wouldn't have anybody to play backup shooting guard, but Colin Sexton can play both. So I'm not worried about that. We accept this trade. We get another pick. Oh, wait, no, they turned this into a pick swap? They turned this into a pick swap instead of... You know what? Whatever. I'm tired of trying to do this. So, we do make that trade. I don't think that affects our rotation at all, but let me make sure. It always likes to do this strange thing when we make a deal where it just shuffles our bench. Axel Lindeberg's still hurt. Oh, maybe we did. We did trade away Jordan Poole, who was playing some minutes here. So I think we've got a choice now. I think we let Scottie Pippen Jr. play 12 minutes while we wait for Axel Lindeberg to get better. And with that being said, we now have to decide how many games until the next time we have to hurt our team again. Let's see. I was really hoping for a start where we didn't have to do something like this. Are we going to have to trade for a team's worst player again? No, we just have to trade for their worst contract. All right. So, let's see what team we have to do this with. Give us a new option. We have a lot of teams on here that we haven't made a trade with yet. Okay, so we will finally land on a new one here as we land on the Atlanta Hawks. We've not made a deal with them yet, I don't think. So let's take a look at their roster and see what we are going to have to acquire here as far as a bad contract. Okay, so looking here at the Hawks roster, they've got Luka. I mean, they've got a lot of players that are hurt, and I don't think we can yet. We can't even trade for injured players, which saves us from having to trade for Julius Randle. I think would definitely be the worst contract on this roster. However, I think Aaron Nesmith then becomes the contract we have to acquire. He's not very valuable, but he's making $20 million a year for the next 2 years. So we've got to figure out how to make that money work. I think there's a world where we do offer Nick Claxton, maybe. I think that would make the money right. And then so there's a Pistons. They've got a Pistons pick and a Cavaliers pick they have swapped best rates on. Okay. Let's see. Is that Pistons pick going to be any good? Maybe we trade for that? So, obviously it's super early in the season, but the Pistons are 7-6. So, I mean, honestly, we're really just taking a stab in the dark. I think we make... Okay. Yeah, I think here's what we do. We do Aaron Nesmith for Nick Claxton. Give us a Pistons pick this year, and then Like one of your future firsts. They don't like that. Okay, maybe if we do a later first as the second. Okay, maybe for just the one. Okay, maybe instead of one pick this year, we go with your pick next year. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. They want the 2 centers that we have, and they'll give us Kobe Brown as well. No, because we need someone to be a backup center after we make this deal. Will you give us your 2030 without making this a big deal? Will you give us your 2031 without making this a big deal? What about 2032? We don't want to take on the extra salary. $1.5 million is too much for you. Wow. Okay. I tell you what. We will make this deal for all the second picks that we can squeeze in here, as long as maybe if we can get this to go through. Because I think second round picks will help us make a couple of these like deals like this go through when we need them to. And having them on hand is nice. So we'll just take them away until they decide it's fine. So it's going to be Nick Claxton for Aaron Nesmith in 2 seconds. Wow, so we have to trade away Nick Claxton and we get Aaron Nesmith in a second. Yeah, I guess. So that's the deal we make there in this situation. And wow. Okay, so we are back on the game wheel now. And we need to spin to see how many games we're going to have until the next time we spin. This time we didn't end up having to do anything too crazy, and I actually think we were able to make a deal that'll benefit us positively even. But let's see how long until the next time we have to consider something crazy. Okay, we're getting... Is it going to be 12 games again? No, it is going to be 10 games that we get to sim now. Let's take a look back on the gameplay screen and see how many that's going to be, and I will reconvene with you. So, big news for our starting lineup as Yaxel Lendeberg is finally off of that broken ankle injury, and we can throw him back in the starting lineup now. Only a few games have passed, so hopefully with him back in the lineup we can win some more games, although the first few that we simmed since we started this period have been wins, so we've been actually playing pretty well. So let's see how we continue to play. Brandon Ingram broke his jaw? Did you get in a fight mid-game, bro? Did you start throwing fists and get your shit rocked or something? Holy cow, how'd you break your jaw, dude? Alright, well, I think we're going to have to do what we did when Yaxel Lendeberg was hurt. We'll move Benedict Mathurin down to small forward, and we will let Colin Sexton play some shooting guard minutes for us. And then we've got to kind of fix up the rotation here. So give me just a moment. Okay, so we've played with the minutes a little bit. Obviously, like I said, Colin Sexton... Colin Sexton is going to play some shooting guard for us right now since we don't have the ability to start anybody else. Benedict Mathurin's going to cover the small forward. And we're going to throw 38 minutes towards Darius Acuff Jr. and Yaxel Lendeberg. That way, we can let our young guys shine in this roster. Off the bench, still the same, much of the same. J-Dub, Cam Johnson, and then Scottie Pippen Jr. Are going to be controlling the minutes while Brandon Ingram recovers. He's not any worse, but I guess his jaw, he just can't play with a broken jaw. So we've got a few more games to sim here. Team is struggling a little bit in this period. We have reached the next spin. So we started out strong in this 10-game period, and then we kind of fell off. Brandon Ingram, our best player, quote-unquote, is currently hurt, so that doesn't help anything. But it's time to see what the roster is going to, or how the roster is going to change this time as we head back over to the Chaos Wheel. So back on the Chaos Wheel now. What's it going to have for us today? What are we going to need to do now? Please let it be something positive. I feel like we're going to end up with another bad contract. I swear this thing is rigged. It wants me to continue to ruin our cap space. So let's spin the team list again. Let's see what awful contract we have to find now. And we are going to be trading with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I will be back once we have their team up on the board. Okay. So we've got the Cleveland Cavaliers roster on the screen here. And as you can see, Jimmy Butler, I think, is going to end up being the worst contract. I mean, Darius Garland and Devin Booker are making big money. However, they are the two best players on the roster, so I think that's justified. But Jimmy Butler making almost 20 mil at almost 40, I think that's going to be where we make our move. So what is it going to take for us to get this deal done? We could do Nick Claxton in a deal. Cause I think there's a reality where we can make this work. If we... Let's start with just this in a pick. I don't know if they'll want to throw us 2 picks for this. They are willing to make... Okay. And they're willing to give us DeAndre Hunter as well. But everyone wants this Toronto pick. I swear, some horrible tragedy is about to befall the city of Toronto in 2029 that the CPU knows about and I don't. I don't want to give this pick up because clearly it's going to be worth something. So maybe we throw them this. Okay, and then we get Zach LaVine. Oh man, we are putting together an unction with this trade. Holy cow! Cleveland said, "Here, let us just take let us take all of your kind of young guys here, and we'll give you every single player that's over 30 on our roster." All right, I actually think we take that deal. I don't think it's that bad. I think there's actually some pieces in that trade that we can make work on our roster. So, didn't take us too long to come to a deal that I think we like well enough. Nice thing is that we trade for DeRon Holmes in that last deal, so we aren't screwed at center. We have someone who can play center there. J-Dub is playing backup power forward now, so I think we're fine in the front court. And then we get Jimmy Butler as our new 6th man. I think that could maybe work in a sense. But obviously, our small forward room's a little bit full now. But that's fine, because, I mean, one of these guys might be a trade piece we can use in a later deal once we spin the wheel and see what we have to do next. So, got to fix the roster now, because obviously I think some of the minutes are going to change on the bench. So give me just a minute. Okay, so... Took me quite a minute here to figure out what I wanted to do as far as our bench now. But we are going to let DeAndre Hunter play that 8th man role, and then DeRon Holmes is going to end up getting the last 12 minutes off our bench. Unfortunately, Zach LaVine and Cam Johnson, who were kind of, I mean, they're both good players in their own right. We just can't give them any minutes based off of the rotation we have right now. So, chaos complete. Let's see how long until the next time we got to consider something here. So, game wheel on the screen. We've been given 2 pretty long periods so far, so I'm worried about what it's going to be this time. And it's another long period. So, the game wheel's being very generous so far. Have not landed on a small amount of time in quite a while, actually. So, let's go ahead and check out what 17 games is going to be, and then we will reconvene. Okay, so didn't take long for something interesting to happen as we win the NBA Cup, it would appear, as Darius Acuff wins NBA Cup MVP, averaging 22 and 8. Once again, that's crazy that he's averaging that exactly. 2 steals and almost a block. Yeah, I think that's a pretty insane performance. So, continuing to sim now, we'll check back in if something happens. All right, so as you can see, Brandon Ingram is finally off of the injury list, so we put him back in the lineup. So hopefully we have an extra boost for these last few games in this sim period. You can't be serious, right? You can't be serious, right? All right, so that didn't take long. Give me a minute. I'm going to have to do what I did before again. Okay, so lineup is reset once again to what it just was not too long ago. I can't remember where we put him back in the lineup at, but it wasn't long until he got hurt again. So let's see how we go this time. Okay, so checking in here, now that we have reached this Knicks game, the team is looking pretty good. Despite the fact that our best player isn't on the floor because he can't stay healthy, it would seem, we are 24-16 at this sim point. So I think we are in a really positive place, but this could all change in a heartbeat. Let's see what the Chaos Wheel is going to decide for us now. So, Chaos Wheel up. Let's give it a spin. Please be something positive. We haven't had anything positive. Okay, well, it's not positive, but maybe it does end up being positive. So we've got to go over to the team wheel that we've got for our current team, and we have to give it a spin. So give me just a second because I think I've got to update it, and then we'll spin that and see who we are trading from our team. Okay. So, current team wheel up. As you can see, we've got all of our current players displayed. And we need to give it a spin and see who we are going to trade for. Or trade away, I guess. Let's see who it's going to be. Please don't be someone important. Okay. This is actually the most perfect thing it could be. As you can see, we've got Cam Johnson as our chosen target here. And when we go to the trade screen here, you'll see why this is the perfect thing. We've got 4 small forwards right now, and Cam Johnson is actually the worst. We brought back Cam Johnson in the offseason, and I don't regret that decision, but we will now have to find a trade for him. And because we spun to see which player we were trading away, we do get the benefit of just being able to go through the trade finder and see what offers we like. So we will trade finder, see what we can get for Cam Johnson, and reconvene soon. So looking at our offers here, nothing crazy stands out to me. I'm thinking about just maybe taking this Tyler Kolek deal, get us more depth in the point guard room. I mean, theoretically, maybe they can't trade. Maybe we ask for a first. Okay, so they want Zach LaVine. Does that? Well, he wouldn't have much of any. Well, we are acquiring a point guard. Yeah. You know what? We make that deal. So Zach LaVine, a player we brought in as kind of collateral in another deal, ends up being another piece we throw in, but that acquires us Tyler Kolek, who I think I mean, one of these guys can definitely play some shooting guard. I don't know which we have do it. Maybe I think we're gonna have Tyler Kolek play some shooting guard. But I think that deal is fine. Totally a wash of a deal more than anything. So we'll take that. We'll have Tyler Kolek move down and play some shooting guard for us. And actually, I think he gets a little better because of that. So let's see. I don't think we'll have to change anything as far as minutes go. Yep. So we are all square there. And with that being said, now we've got to see how many games until our next spin. We are approaching the deadline, and like I discussed last video, if we do end up at the trade deadline before the wheel or the amount of games that we spun for is passed, we will still spin once we hit the deadline. So no matter what, we will at least have one more chaos spin for this season. But let's see how many games of reprieve we will have. So we are back on the games wheel now. So let's see how long until we are going to have to do something crazy again, as the wheel is going to land on 5. So we got lucky for most of the first part of the season not having to do things quickly here, but we will only have 5 games until the next chaos spin. So let's count that out and see where we're at. So wasn't too hard to figure this out. So the Hornets game here is our next sim point. So let's start simming. Let's see what happens. And Colin Sexton gets hurt immediately. So, okay. So we might have to start Jimmy Butler for a few games. That's an interesting thing that's happening here. All right, so let me fix our rotation here, and I'll get back with you. Okay, so roster fixed up, like I said. So we've got Darius Acuff, Benedict Mathurin, Jimmy Butler now playing some small forward, Yaxel Lindenberg, and Zach Edey in our starting lineup. And then the bench is a collection of players, that's for sure. We are hoping that we are going to escape the injury bug at some point, but we only had 5 games to sim here, and we already had to deal with a big injury. But the good news is we are looking pretty decent here. Team chemistry is at an all-time high at 93%. The fans couldn't give less of a shit, though. Holy cow. 41% fan interest. We're like 10 games of 500, guys. Get a little excited. We're second in the conference. What are we doing? Start coming to the games. You're mad because we keep trading away the players on our team? You keep buying jerseys that just end up not being anything? Oh, great. I just got this Brandon Miller jersey. What do you mean they traded him? Well, crap. All right. Well, I guess I'll get a different jersey then. What do you mean we traded him away now? Okay. I guess I can understand why the fans might be a little bit upset. But I promise you, what we're doing here will end up in a championship eventually, maybe. With that being said, though, it is time to see whose jersey is going to end up being a different color now, as we have to go to the trade wheel here. So let's go ahead and give this a spin, and we will see what we have to do now. Give us something. No. Okay, so we are trading away our draft pick this year, which we've got, I'm assuming. Okay, so it says trade away our draft pick this year. I want to assume that if we have multiple, it means all of our draft picks. Or, you know what? We have the draft chaos effect where we have to trade away our entire draft. So, for our sake, it'll be our actual draft pick. But if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't know if we have our own draft pick this year. We sure don't. So what I'm going to do here is we've got this Grizzlies pick that has the swap protection. So essentially it is what we did with our own pick. So we are going to throw this in a, you know what, we've got to spin the wheel here and see what team we're going to trade this to. So I think we can definitely make something happen with this. Okay, so the Brooklyn Nets are going to be the team that this pick is going to. So what I'm going to do, I think, is throw the pick into Trade Finder and then look and see if the Nets offer us something and what it is. So give me just a minute. Okay, So we are in the trade finder screen, and as you can see here, the Grizzlies pick that we have, we can trade away, and it'll get us a lottery protected pick in 2 years. Now, I'm not super interested in that per se. So I'm fine just trading away this pick altogether. Would you maybe consider giving us a pick next year with a protection on it? Wow. And that just goes through immediately. So we get ourselves a pick in the next draft. We had to trade away one of the picks we've got. I mean, I think we maybe could have pulled some more value out of that, but I don't think we needed a player in that deal at all. So maybe we should have tried to throw in some seconds to give ourselves more flexibility in the future as far as trades are concerned. However, we do end up with a top 3 protected Nets pick next year. We'll see if that ends up being anything. Let's see how they're doing in the conference, actually. The Nets are, okay, they're above 500, so it might end up being a decent pick, but it might not be a top 3, so that might end up being a win for us. As you can see, we are up there at 28-17, playing incredible basketball right now. So, chaos managed. Like I said, we are getting closer and closer to the deadline here. So let's see how many games we have to spin for now. No matter what, we will trade or make another spin by the deadline. So what is the chaos or what is the game wheel got to say? So 17 games. I definitely think that takes us past the trade deadline. So we are going to sim until we hit the trade deadline and see what the last spin for this season is going to be. So far, this team looks like it might be playoff bound, and I would be incredibly impressed if that was the case with the roster we've assembled. So we'll go ahead and sim and see what we've got. Okay, so we have reached the trade deadline. We are 31-19 at the trade deadline. We are in really good shape, and we only have to make one more spin this season. The spin could really help us out. It could really hurt us. So let's see what we are going to have to do for the last time this year. I'm really hoping, can we make a big deal? Can we trade, make a huge trade? Are we going to have to make a blockbuster? Oh, wow. Oh, my God, guys. Okay. So we are going to have to try to pull off a blockbuster trade at the deadline here. I really hate that Brandon Ingram is hurt because I think Brandon Ingram would make the blockbuster deal go through a lot easier. But I'm going to have to assess our roster and see who we are willing to throw in this deal. So give me just a minute to do some thinking, and then I will get back to you when we have an offer on the screen. Okay, so we are in the trade screen. We have a deal out here, or a deal up on the screen here. I just tried to trade finder it manually. They were not interested in any offer I might throw out for Paolo Banchero, who is by far the best player on their roster and who would make this a blockbuster. So the deal is Jimmy Butler, J-Dub, Benedict Mathurin, and a couple of firsts, and we get back Paolo and a random player that makes it so they don't have too many players on their roster. Will they take this? They do not want to take it. What do we... I mean, this is a big deal, so maybe we throw another pick at them? Still, no. So, once again, if we had Brandon Ingram, who wasn't hurt, I feel like this deal goes through. It's hard for us to make a blockbuster trade when our best player is hurt. There is the idea of throwing Axel Lendeberg in there. I don't want to do that, man, because it feels like he's... Yeah. He's got so much potential. So maybe if we're going to do that, maybe it's going to be just like him, Yaxel, and... Okay, so... that would still be a costly trade, I think. But we get Paolo, who's an absolute star. And we also get off of Jimmy Butler's contract. But we also lose Benedict Mathurin, who's not an insignificant contributor. He's averaging 20 points this year. So I'm hesitant, but we just offer this straight up. I will see if a first or the 2 firsts we offered. Wow. I mean, I don't blame him. Paolo is an incredible player. But, So, since we can't really seem to find anything, who are we willing to move off of? Like, maybe we do a Zach Edey and Benedict Mathurin deal? Wow. This is definitely what I would call... Well, actually... this is a little bit of a blockbuster, I think. Maybe if... oh, and it's the Suns. I'll tell you what. Yeah. No. Wait, hold on. Oh, I can't throw any protections on my own. I don't have any picks that are my own. Can I throw you like a super late first and you guys take it? Okay. So here is the quote-unquote blockbuster deal. I will let you guys decide if this is truly a blockbuster trade or not, but there's a lot of things happening here and a lot of players swapping teams. So it is going to be Zach Edey, Benedict Mathurin, this random guy here, and we're going to have a pick swap in 2031, and we're also giving up Deron Holmes. But we get, in return, Colin Murray-Boyles, Austin Reeves, 2 picks, and Malik Monk as well. So all things told, I think this is not a bad trade. It's the blockbuster deal we are making at the deadline. And with that, I now have to fix our roster because we definitely have some holes to fill. So give me just a moment to make some changes, and then we will get back together. All right. So, new look Celtics assembled. We have Darius Acuff, Austin Reeves, Jimmy Butler for now, Yaxel Lendeberg, and Colin Murray-Boyles now playing some center for us. So, I think we are definitely a little bit smaller, but I also think we have a lot of really good players that might be able to mesh together well. As we are now going to sim past the deadline, we've got to sim through the rest of the season. Hopefully when we reconvene at the end of the season, we are talking about a playoff run, and I will check in anytime between then if something interesting happens. But let's start, or actually I think we'll check in when we reach the contract extension deadline first. Okay, so we have reached the contract extension deadline, and it's time to take a look at who we've got on the roster and who we want to bring back. So Brandon Ingram is willing to come back. I don't know if I'm willing to... I don't know. Oh, man. And that just makes not being able to make a blockbuster deal with him so much more painful. It's like, do we really want Brandon Ingram eating up $30 million on our roster at 31 years old at the overall he is? I don't think so. So I think we just end up letting Brandon Ingram walk in this class, and we feel slightly sad that we don't have Brandon Miller and we ended up in this situation. But we are 36-25 right now, so we are still tracking for a playoff berth here. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and send the rest of the way, and I will check in with you at the end of the season. All right. So, Jokic wins himself an MVP here, averaging almost 30 points a game, 30, 12, and 10. That's Jokic for you. I mean, almost 50, 40, 90 club. Who else was having a great year as far as the NBA is concerned? How does Wemby not win MVP? Ooh. I mean, Jokic's numbers were insane and definitely deserving, but Wemby's averaging 34, 12, and 4 this year. Wow. Wow, Wemby. Okay. So, Anthony Edwards also has a pretty crazy year, averaging 33, 4, and 5. Tatum averages 31, 9, or 31, 10, and 4. Paolo averaging 31, 10, and 4 as well. Almost ended up becoming a Boston Celtic. Couldn't find a deal that worked for us, though. Brunson averaging 29 and Shea averaging 27. Those are your top scorers this year. Rebounding-wise, Jalen Duren averaging 13 rebounds a game, and Wemby with 12. Giannis also averaging 12 rebounds a game. Man, Giannis is showing no signs of slowing down. Zach Edey, the brand new Phoenix Sun, the guy we just traded away, averaging 12 rebounds a game on his new team. Who's leading the league in assists? It's Trae Young this year, although he only played 64 games. A better person for this would be Luka, who averaged 8.9. Cade averaging 8. And then steals-wise, Cam Boozer tore his ACL. That's brutal. So Cam Boozer, torn ACL, and he was averaging 3 steals a game up until that point. Dyson Daniels, defensive menace, of course, and Asar Thompson, also a defensive menace, doing crazy things in the steal game there. And Wemby leading the league in blocks like anybody would be surprised about that. So Murray O'Connor, that crazy rookie that we knew was probably going to end up winning Rookie of the Year this year, does indeed do that. Kingston Flemings wins 6th Man of the Year. Wemby wins another DPOY and Clutch Player of the Year as well. Jason Kidd wins Coach of the Year, and that guy wins GM of the Year. As far as the All-NBA teams are concerned, I think these make sense. LaMelo Ball is playing some crazy good basketball in Detroit. That team in Detroit is just insanely well put together. Wow, no love for the Boston Celtics as we see Chet and Scotty both make the All-NBA third. Anybody else on that Nuggets team making All-NBA? Oh, yeah, Cat makes All-NBA second. So that team continues to be scary. Usual suspects once again here in the All-NBA defensive. And rookie-wise, I don't know. Young Hansen? Wow, okay. He's definitely not a true rookie. But no love for any Boston Celtics. I mean, I think our rookie didn't play a single minute this year. But as you can see here, we find ourselves in the playoffs pretty comfortably at that. So looking at the standings, we ended up finishing 4th in the conference with a 48-34 record. I think we could have had an even better record if Brandon Ingram wasn't hurt for a majority of the season. And I'm scared going into this playoff run if he's going to even be healthy for it. We'll see. But with that being said, we've got to simulate the play-in, and hopefully we get through this first round without too much resistance. We're going up against the Nets here, who we, if you remember, made that trade to trade away one of our draft picks this year too, and we are tied up 2-2. And okay, so we are now going to be facing a pivotal game 6. So we're gonna hop in the Simcast here and see if there's anything worth watching. Sure. You can simulate those games. I don't care. I only care about this game right now, as it looks like as the game winds down, we are going to force a comfortable Game 7 as we put up a 138-118 win. Brandon Ingram putting up 31 points. Darius Acuff 28, 4, and 6, and 3 blocks. That's a crazy stat. Colin Murray-Boyle's getting us 18, 8, and 3 at the center position. Yaxel doing what he does, 16, 11, and 3. And Jimmy Butler played 35 minutes. Hold on, something's not right here. Why was Jimmy playing 35? I mean, I guess that makes sense. He was just playing some extra minutes as the sixth man, I suppose. So we do force Game 7. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into the simcast here, because I want to see if we are going to be able to... Uh-oh. Okay. We got to hop in. We got to try to save it. Well, actually, I don't want to impact our team. This team, once again, I think we're going to commentate, and we're going to see if we can maybe come back with a minute 58 to go in Game 7 of this first round. All right. So, 2 minutes to go here. Celtics have the ball. And what are we going to be able to do? Brandon Ingram dribbling around like a menace, doing a lot of what Jaylen Brown was doing in that playoff series that we watched, as he's going to dump it off to Colin Murray-Boyles, who cannot make the basket. Actually, I don't think that's Colin Murray-Boyles. Who is that? Who's wearing 13 there? I'm not sure. That might have been Jimmy Butler, actually. Jimmy Butler couldn't get the bucket. As Baylor Shireman has got the ball for the Nets. Darius Acuff playing some defense on the wing. Going to be Ingram, and they're going to try to get a layup there. It's no good. Ingram's got the rebound, passes it up to Butler. And Colin Murray-Boyles is going to put up a three, and that is no good. I don't know if that was the time for a three. Jalen Green, point guard for the Nets, is going to drive right by. Oh, my God, Jimmy Butler. You are so old and ancient. So I think we are looking at a Celtics team that was solid, had the ability to compete. Well, what is Brandon Ingram doing? Okay, I mean, he makes the bucket. We're looking at a Celtics team, I think, that had the ability to compete, but we're just not ready yet. And we're going to start going for the intentional foul, I guess. I don't know what that's about. And, wow. Okay. So, that was embarrassing to watch, but we're just going to watch the game wind down here. This is going to end our season. We'll obviously see who ends up winning the championship. But disappointing result. I wonder how it might have looked if we didn't end up with Brandon Ingram on our roster, as Jimmy throws up another ill-advised layup. And I think with that, it is the end of the Celtics season. Tough way to go out, but we made the playoffs finally. We force a Game 7 at what is... LeBaron Philon was just hamming like crazy on the between the legs dribbles there. But that is the end of the Celtics season, unfortunately. Hate to go out like that. I think we could have played much better basketball in the playoffs, but that's the way it goes. We just weren't ready yet. So, got another couple Game 7s. Let's see if there's anything interesting. Spurs and... Oh, well, here. I mean, first round's not interesting. So let's go ahead and see how the rest of the playoffs shake out here. Do we get any interesting series here in round 2? Wow, the East is going to be decided by 2 Game 7s here. So in this Hawks-Bucks game, it's Luka, Shaedon Sharpe, Devin Vassell, Asa Newell, and Khalil Ware. And versus that Bucks lineup of Reed Shepherd, Jaden McDaniels, Jason Tatum, and Alex Sarr. Man, that Bucks team is really, really good. But every year I feel like I see them struggle in the playoffs, kind of like we did this year. But we are looking at a Bucks team that does finally make the conference finals. And so the Nets, who just eliminated us with LeBaron Philon, Jalen Green, Bilal Coulibaly, and no front court to speak of, are stuck in a Game 7 against Hallie, Kason Wallace, Asar Thompson, and their front court's better, but not crazy. So who's going to walk away and walk into the conference finals in this matchup? It's looking like the Heat have a pretty clear advantage, and they do indeed eliminate the Nets here. So conference finals time. The West hasn't been very close so far, it looks like. But this conference finals matchup looks like it might give us something electric as the Bucks reach the finals, and we have a Game 7 here in the West. So Dylan Harper, RJ Barrett, Zachary Risache, Ron Holland, and Jokic against Jeremiah Fears, Anthony Edwards, Carter Bryant, Clowney, and Donovan Clingan. Yeah, I can see how that's a pretty even matchup here. So, do we get an electric end to the Western Conference Finals? Are we going to see a close game? No, it is a Rockets blowout. Jokic putting up insane numbers at his big age. Jason Tatum also putting up a really good Eastern Conference Finals. And we are set up with, I think, a perfectly matched NBA Finals here. What are we going to see? Are we going to see a close matchup, or are we going to see a blowout? Are we going to see the gentleman sweep, perhaps? No. Rockets managed to win Game 5 and Game 6, so we now find ourselves in a pivotal Game 7. So, Game 7, we sim. What are we going to see? Do we see a close end to the finals here? No, the Rockets are pulling away, and Nikola Jokic averaging a triple-double and almost 2 steals and blocks per game in the finals brings the Rockets to the precipice, and they win another finals title. So it is the beginning of the offseason. We managed to, I think, have a really good season overall. Unfortunately, we didn't have much playoff success. However, we made the playoffs. Huge step up from where we were last year, as we see KD retire, DeMar DeRozan, Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard also retired. Bradley Beal, man, the amount of crazy good players that I'm seeing retire here. So, Hall of Fame inductees, KD, Damian Lillard, Kawhi, Paul George, and DeMar, all insane players in their own right. Jimmy Butler doesn't end up getting his jersey retired. These jersey retirements make sense. And, well, the worst teams have reduced odds of obtaining a top 3 pick. I'm fine with that because that's how it is in real life right now. So, we are looking at the draft here, and I don't see us in the lottery. So we do not have any lottery picks, it would appear. And the Nets end up with the number 1 pick. Oh, tell me that was the pick that I traded away. We only end up with, like, I mean, we only would have ended up with not a crazy draft in the first place. But the Nets end up getting the number 1 overall pick. And we don't really have a ton as far as draft capital this year. So I'll be interested to see what we end up with when the draft actually comes around here. And we have to spin the draft chaos wheel. So could be pretty interesting to see what it lands on. We have a few options that I think could really help us out, and I think we have a few options that I think could really help us out, and I think quite a few that could hurt us. So without further ado, we're going to spin and see what we're accomplishing in the draft this year. So what are we doing in the draft? What chaos are we... All right. So we're drafting a bust. Now, we're at pick 23 in this draft, so I feel like that might not be too difficult to do considering the talent that'll probably be at our pick. But all things considered, boo. That stinks. So we're not going to be acquiring, I think, any talent in the draft this year. We'll definitely have to be active in free agency, which hopefully we'll have some money to do because we are getting off the biggest contract in our roster. So, draft time. Let's see what happens here. I mean, we're obviously going to be waiting a while honestly, we're just going to go ahead and sim to our pick here. We do have draft or trade offers, but we obviously can't take any of those because we have to draft a bust. And it stinks because it looks like there's some guys here who still have some potential. But I'm assuming what I'm going to do, I think, is go with a guy we have fully scouted who's got really low potential. Like Jim Smith here. He's got C potential. And yeah, there it is. Jim Smith. We could have had someone who maybe would have developed into something, but instead this guy's going to just be absolutely a bum. What caused him to slide is the fact that he's probably dog water at basketball. As Devin Caldwell is an insane-looking prospect, and he will be a part of the Brooklyn Nets now. We're going to sign our bust to his deal. We will obviously take or pick up the options on our young talent and let these contracts walk. And yeah, we won't throw an offer at Tyler Kolek. And that brings us to free agency. What I'm going to do first here is see our cap holds. Yeah, no, I don't want that cap hold. And we are going to let all of these other cap holds walk as well. And you can see up there at the top, we have $62 million of cap room to use in this free agency class. And I see, is he affordable? I mean, it says that he's not. However, I feel like he could be. I think we could absolutely make this work. Oh, Stephon Castle's also here, but he's restricted, so we can't bring him in. I mean, Luka being here is wild. Can we bring... I mean, Luka could play... Okay, hold on. I got to do some thinking here, because looking at our roster, like, Darius Acuff is definitely the point guard here. And, I mean, Austin Reeves... Yeah, no, I think we... Okay. We want to go after Luka. Luka is undoubtedly the big guy in this class. We have to spin the wheel to see if we're allowed to go after him. It's a 50-50 shot. Otherwise, we've got to pivot, and I see Denny down there. Maybe that's not a bad option. But getting Luka on this roster would be huge. So I'm praying to everything. I'm praying with everything in my being that we can land him. But it is up to the wheel. Okay. We are on the yes-no wheel. Can we send an offer out to the biggest free agent in this class? Can we make an offer for Luka Doncic? No. We are not able to make an offer for Luka. Yeah, that no hurts to look at. So we are not making an offer for Luka. So unfortunately, the wheel decided that we cannot go after the big guy in this class. However, because we got rejected on our big guy, we can now go after anybody else in the class to fill the holes we need. Hurts because Luka probably would have pushed us over the edge and made us a championship contender immediately, but that's the way these things shake out. So back here on the screen, so Luka is not an option. So pivoting to the other guys who are available, I think it becomes pretty obvious that Denny is the target here. We offer him... I mean, what are his offers right now? I mean, he's only got one offer, and the Mavericks are only offering him a one-year deal. So I think if we offer him literally anything towards a max, he'll accept that. And then we also need a center, as I see Edie is here and restricted. Nick Claxton is available. So is Khalil Ware, but he's also restricted. I mean, what are we looking at center? We have Colin Murray-Boyles, right? And we're pretty happy with that, despite playing some small ball. But getting someone like taller who could come in off the bench and maybe play some valuable minutes might be nice. I see Wendell Carter here. That's a good shooting option. Bobby Portis. I mean, Jay Huff's here again. And he's like a... I mean, he's also 30. Decisions here. I think I mean, Khalil Ware would literally be the ideal option here. Obviously, he's got his qualifying offer from his squad, and then the Hawks are offering him a deal. But I think he obviously just whatever he's got out there is going to end up getting matched. So I think we might bring back Nick Claxton on like a 2-year deal just to have some defense off the bench. And then at small forward, we obviously have an offer for Denny. And then what do we go with off the bench to fill that hole? Maybe Ousmane. Oh, yeah, Ousmane Dang. Pretty decent shooter off the bench. He's young, decent overall, fits the system. And all 3 of those offers are going to go through. So I think we are in good shape if that happens, or if we get all of these signings now. So the new roster, I think, is in pretty good shape, actually. Like, genuinely pretty talented. I think going from Brandon Ingram to Denny Avdia, who is the same kind of player, I think, little bit younger and might still have some room to develop, maybe not, but either way, I am happy with that as our free agency class. We still have young and developing talent that I think will end up taking a huge step up here. So don't get Luka. Interested to see where he ends up, actually. He goes to the Magic. Interesting. So the Magic are now comprised of Luka, Amen Thompson, and an ancient Anthony Davis. But over here where we are hoping for some good player progression as Darius Acuff takes another big step up. Yaxel Lendeberg gets a little better. Denny doesn't look like he gets any better or worse. Same thing with Colin Murray-Boyles. We just had a lot of stagnation. Our rookie power forward that we drafted gets a little bit better to the point that he's a little bit better than J-Dub, but he's not a better or a three-point shooter, so J-Dub might still end up getting some starting minutes here. Malik Monk gets a little bit better at 30, and Austin Reeves regresses heavily at 30. Wow. That's pretty nuts. Okay, so our shooting guard position might be a problem because, like, we've got Malik Monk as our best player there. I mean, yeah, we're gonna have something that we need to get done here as far as at the shooting guard position once next season starts. But that's the look of the roster as we get into next season. And with that, that's the end of the video. So we are getting closer and closer and closer to the championship. I really feel like we are so close. Maybe the Chaos Wheel pushes us over the top this year and we finally break through and win that title. But that remains to be seen in the next episode. With that being said, if you did enjoy today's video, please leave a like, subscribe, and a comment if you enjoyed. I enjoy you guys hanging out with me while I suffer through this chaos. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.